Good morning, students. Today you are going to study about another term that is called as what? Tonicity. What is meant by tonicity? The relative concentration of a solution that determines the direction and the extent of diffusion, that is called as tonicity. So, the relative concentration of the solution, tonicity is the relative concentration of a solution that determine the way or the direction of and the extent of diffusion. What is the meaning of that one? How we already definition you have seen. What is the meaning of this tonicity is that this relative concentration means what? The concentration of this solution inside the cell as well as outside the cell. That is what is called as relative concentration. And that determines the direction and extent. Direction means whether this solution goes inside the cell or goes out of this cell. So, direction meaning understood. Then, extent means how far it will take place, the movement of these molecules or this solution, whether it is water or some other solution, to certain extent only, to how far it will take place. That is called as what? Tonicity. So, once more the diffusion. Once more the definition of this tonicity, that it is the relative concentration of the solution. Then it is that determine the direction and extent of the diffusion. That is what is called as tonicity. And this, based on this, there are three types is there. One is called as isotonic. What is mean by isotonic solution? Yes, iso means same. That means in the outside of the cell as well as inside of the cell, the concentration of the solution will be same. Understood? Isotonic. Iso means same. The meaning that the concentration of this solution inside the cell and outside the cell remains same. So, in this case, can you say whether osmosis takes place? Once more recollect what is the definition of osmosis. It is the movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So, here in an isotonic solution, here inside the cell as well as outside the cell, what happens? The concentration remains the same. So, my question is that whether in this situation osmosis takes place or not? Tell me. No. Okay. Correct. The osmosis does not take place. Second term is that hypotonic. Hypo means what? Yes, hypo means less or low. So here what happens, you can see solution of this cell, that outside what solution is there, it has a lower concentration comparing to the inside solution. So that what will happen, the concentration of the water outside will be more, whereas the outside solution this concentration will be low, and inside what happens, this concentration is high. So that what will happen, water molecules will enter from outside into the cell. That is what is called as this cell. So in osmosis, two types of osmosis you have seen. Which are these two types of osmosis? Tell me. Yes, one is endosmosis and the other one is exosmosis. So can you say here from when these water molecules, here endo, like it is entering as the concentration of the water molecule is more outside the cell, whereas the concentration of the solution outside the cell is less. So here automatically, here you can see that water molecules enters into the cell, and one type of osmosis takes place here. Yes, endosmosis takes place here. Once more, in the case of hypotonic solution, one type of osmosis takes place. Yes, that is endosmosis takes place. Another type of solution that is called as hypertonic solution. Hyper means, from the word itself you know, that is small. So what happens, you can see that the solution outside the cell has a higher concentration than the fluid inside the cell. So outside the cell, the concentration will be more, the solution concentration will be more, whereas inside the cell, solution concentration will be less. So water content will be more inside the cell, and you can see the water content will be less outside the cell. So quite normally here, whether endosmosis or exosmosis takes place. Yes, it is exosmosis. What is meant by exosmosis? That is water moves outside the cell. That is exosmosis. So suppose here is a cell, you can see that water moves outside the cell. So the possibility that exosmosis takes place. So here three types of solution you have seen. One is isotonic, next one is hypotonic, and the other one is hypertonic. So in isotonic solution, you can see that both the concentration inside and outside will be equal. Whereas in hypertonic solution, outside the solution has more concentration, whereas inside it is less, so that water molecules will enter. So that is endosmosis. Here hypertonic solution, here exosmosis takes place and water molecules move outside. I hope that all of you got it. Then we can see this one, using a red blood cell as well as a plant cell. For example, first we are taking red blood cell, how this is taken. So just think that this is the red blood cell. Okay, so from this outside, just think this water is there, and in the case of isotonic solution, you can see both inside the cell as well as inside the cell as well as outside the cell, the concentration of the solution is same. So you can see that here water enters, water moves out in the correct equilibrium. It will be in an equilibrium way. Suppose you can see that this endosmosis takes place. Here, second case, endosmosis. You can see the water will be it will be entering. Okay, it is entering, and whether it goes out, no. So cell become turgid. It will be bulged like this. Cell will become turgid. Whereas in the third case, you can see that is hypertonic solution. How it happens, you can see water moves out and the cell shrunken like this. How? Because water has gone outside the cell. So these are the three examples about isotonic, then hypotonic and hypertonic. Come on, in the case of a plant cell, how it is taking place? normal cell, plant cell, you know, it will be like this, isn't it? With a cell wall and a cell membrane is there, and here you can see here cell sap will be there or the cytoplasm will be there with the nucleus. Okay, with the nucleus this will be like this. Whereas in the second case you can see that hypotonic solution, you can see the cell content, it will be little bit bulged. Because water enters inside. Okay, water enters inside, nucleus will be prominent and the cells will be so little bit bulged in shape. Whereas in the third case, whereas hypertonic solution, when it moves out, you can see the cell is like this, and from here you can see that it will be shrinking like this. The cytoplasm that shrinks and inside that nucleus will be present. So this is the case in the case of isotonic solution, hypotonic solution as well as in hypertonic solution. So with this example, I hope that you understood it clearly. In case of a plant cell, there is another striking feature that determines the behavior of this cell, that the rigidity of this cell wall. That is another important feature, that cell wall is very rigid. Cell wall is made up of what? Cellulose in the case of a plant cell. In addition to the cell wall, you can see inside a membrane called as what? Plasma membrane. So these both are present in the case of a plant cell. And what is the speciality of this one? Cell wall as well as the plasma membrane. You can see cell wall is freely permeable, whereas this plasma membrane or cell membrane, that is selectively permeable. It allows certain materials to go in and out of this cell. Okay. So here the special feature of this cell wall is that the rigidity of this cell wall, so that it is so rigid and it protects the delicate cellular parts what is present inside the cell. So all the delicate parts will be protected by the cell. You can see that this rigidity, which we are called as three terms, we can explain by that turgidity, plasmolysis and flaccidity. These are the three terms. I will discuss you after a certain points. I will discuss about these three things. Before going to that, we are going to another term, that is the fourth term, that is called as active transport. So you can see imbibition is over, diffusion is over and osmosis is over. The fourth term is active transport. So the fourth term is called as active transport. It is the passage of substances from a lower region to a region of higher concentration region. So it is quite opposite to diffusion. The transport or passages of the substances, that may be salt or ion, from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration, and for this process what is needed? Energy is needed. Whereas in the case of diffusion, because it is from a higher region, higher concentration region to a lower concentration region, you know that much energy is not needed. This here, in the case of this active transport, the substances move from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration through a cell membrane, and here energy is needed from the cell to do this activity. So certain nutrients cell membrane easily through the roots because these minerals are present in the soil. Okay, these minerals are present in the soil, and so these minerals cannot be easily taken up by the root cells. Why? Because in the root cells or in the cell sac of the root hairs, you can see these elements or nutrients are present in a higher concentration. So it is not easy. So you can see that a higher osmotic pressure is needed for this entry of these nutrients like nitrate, sulfate, potassium, etc. So you can see that forcibly the root hairs, by forcibly these are absorbing, so that they need the energy which is the cell stored in the form of ATP. Got it? So forcibly, the word we are using is forcibly. Forcibly the root cells want to absorb these nutrients, and for this process they need energy which is in the cell, that is in the form of ATP. So understood the term active transport, it is quite opposite to the meaning of diffusion. Once more, active transport is the passage of the substances from a region of its lower concentration to a region of higher concentration through a living membrane using energy from the cell. Now another term is there which is called as passive transport. So quite opposite to active transport. What is the meaning of passive transport? It is, you can say, diffusion, that is there is no input of energy here, whereas in active transport input of energy is needed, whereas in passive transport there is no input of energy and there is a free movement of the molecules from their higher concentration region to a lower concentration region. So the molecules move very freely because from a region of higher concentration only, so there is no involvement of energy. So that's the differences between active transport and passive transport. So the two terms you have to know it well. What is meant by active transport and passive transport? Active transport, that is a fourth phenomena in which the root absorb water. Next we are going to the fifth one, that is called as turgidity and plasticity. So you have already seen the living plant cell, always they will be in contact with what? Some fluids. Most probably when the roots are in the soil, you can see root hairs are present which will be in contact with the water which is present in the soil. When the cell reaches in a state where it cannot accommodate any more water, that is, the cell will be fully distended, and that condition we are calling it is as the cell is in a turgid condition, and the condition is called as turgidity. So when the plant cell it can't accommodate, means maximum water already it accommodated in the cells of the root. So cell will become turgid at that time, like the water will be absorbed by the root hairs and fully it will be distended, and so that is called as turgid, and the condition is called as turgidity. When the cell is turgid, the cell wall is stretched under pressure from inside, and in turn it presses contents towards the center of the cell. So this is the cell outside. This is the structure of the cell of the plant. You can see that externally what is present. Yes, this is the cell wall. And inside that what is present, close to that you can see a cell membrane like this. I already told you cell wall is freely permeable and whereas cell membrane is selectively permeable. Cell membrane is and selectively permeable. Here you can see the cytoplasm and the cell organelles will be there, including nucleus. Okay, so including nucleus, it is there. When a cell, you can see it is fully turgid, what it will be doing? It will press this cell content towards the center of the cell, and that time you can see that it will create a pressure, and that pressure is called as Turgor pressure. So the Turgor pressure, what is the meaning? The pressure of the cell content on the cell wall, that is called as Turgor pressure. And again you can see at the same time the cell wall again exert a pressure, that is called as wall pressure. So two types of pressure, one is called as Turgor pressure and another one is called as wall pressure. So wall pressure from the wall to the cell, Turgor pressure from here from the cytoplasm or the cell sand to the cell, the pressure is exerted and that is called as Turgor pressure. Whereas here you can see from the wall to the cytoplasm another pressure will be exerted, which is called as wall pressure. And next you can see that what is meant by plasmolysis and flaccidity. When a living cell of a water plant, that is an aquatic plant, leaf cell, just for an example, you are taking the cell of a water plant, it's from its leaf, and putting this cell in fresh water. What happens? You can see the cell, roughly I am showing, you can see this is the cell, and here just we are putting, this is the cell membrane, it will be enclosed, it will be like this. Cell wall and cell membrane will be close together. We are taking the cell of an aquatic plant, living cell you are taking, and you are putting that in fresh water. This is the nucleus, so that you can see that cell wall and the cell membrane, they will be very close together, and as usual the cell will be fully distended, or it will be, you can see that it's a turgid cell. Okay, this both cell wall as well as cell membrane, they will remain close together. And just the same cell, now you are putting it in a salt solution, I mean in a hypertonic solution, 5% salt your solution, you are putting the same cell you are taking and putting it in a 5% salt solution. What happens? You can see the cell, same cell, what will happen? So when you are putting in a hypertonic solution, what happens? The water will be going out of the cell. Okay. nucleus will be there. Okay. So when we are putting in a hypertonic solution, you can see that the cell will be shrinking together, and so that what happens there, the phenomena called as plasmolysis takes place. So understood, the loss of water from the cell and the cell becomes shrinking. That condition is called as plasmolysis, and the cell occur a condition that is called as what? Flaccidity. That is called as flaccidity. Flaccidity is the reverse of what? Turgidity. Turgid time cell will be fully distended, whereas flaccid time you can see that the cell sac will be shrinking. So quite opposite terms, that is flaccidity and turgidity. And again you can see before this cell, if the cell continues in the salt solution like this, within a short time you can see that this cell will be dying. So just before the cell dies, again you take this same cell from the salt solution and you put it again in fresh water. You can see again what happens. The cell retain its shape. Again it will be attaining a turgid condition. So this is called as deplasmolysis. So what is meant by plasmolysis? Shrinking of the cell. Deplasmolysis means again it is getting occurring the same shape. So you came across three terms. One is turgidity, another one is plasmolysis, and the third one is flaccidity. So now let us see what are the uses of this turgidity to plants. First thing is that it provides, that is turgidity provides rigidity to the soft part of the plants or the soft tissues. So you can see the most soft tissue, it is leaves, isn't it? So in the hot sun, you can see that usually wilting of the leaf, you can see what is meant by wilting of the leaf. Slowly you can see in the absence of water or more evaporation takes place, leaf will be drooping down. That is nothing but wilting of the leaf. So during usually in the afternoon or when the sun is hot, why the leaf will wilt? Due to excessive transpiration. The rate of transpiration will be more than the absorption of water by the roots. So you can see that potted plants and all, for 2 days and all, if you are not watering the plant properly, leaves will be drooping down. Yes. So this drooping of the leaf, you can see that at that time this turgidity is very useful to the plant. When this more transpiration takes place, you can see that the leaves petiole. Petiole means here this is the stem, and this part which is attached to the stem, this is the leaf. Okay, this is the leaf, and this part is called as petiole, as well as this whole part is called as lamina. Understood? This is the petiole, and this petiole you can see that wilting happens and drooping takes place by the loss of water. In the evening, what happens? Again, transpiration will be reduced, whereas noon time absorption will be less and transpiration will be more. What is meant by transpiration? The loss of water from the aerial part of the plant is called as what? Transpiration. So noon time transpiration will be more, and so very soon you can see water will be lost from the leaves and leaves will be dropping down or wilting takes place. Whereas in the evening, when transpiration is reduced, you can see the quantity of water absorbed will be more, and that will be more, and less water will be transpirated. So you can see that again the leaves So a pressure will be created. You can see the germinating seeds and all, or mushroom just when it comes out of the soil. A certain force is needed for it to break the soil and to come up. Seeds when germinating, you can see that the cotyledon pushes above the epicotyl or hypocotyl. You can see it pushing it. So a force is needed, and that force is called as turgor pressure. So that is also another one important use of turgidity, that is turgor pressure. Sometimes you can see some big trees, its roots will be growing and breaking the concrete of another house, isn't it? Or the wall is breaking when the roots grows. These and all is due to what? Due to this turgor pressure. Third one, turgor in the root cell build up root pressure. So what's mean by root pressure? You can see just a balsam plant. You are familiar with the balsam plant. You cut this balsam plant just above the soil level, not in the soil level, just 1 or 2 or 3 inch above the soil level, and immediately you fix a glass tube upon that one. You can see that a cell sap which is coming out very quickly. The cell sap is coming out through the tube, and in turn if you are connecting this to a manometer, clearly the mercury level will be increasing. How this happens? You can see you cut this plant, and at the same time what the root will do, root continue the process of what? Absorption. Root will be continuing the process of absorption. So this process, this cell sap come out with a pressure. Okay, it comes out with a pressure, and that we are calling it as a root pressure. And this loss of this liquid or the fluid from this cut end is called as what? Bleeding. Nothing but bleeding. Loss of water or cell sap from the cut end. So the stem, see, and here root is present. Here I am cutting. So this water, it will be gushing out. Especially some plants clearly you can see. And this loss of water from the cut end is called as bleeding. So root pressure, it is the pressure developed in the roots due to the continued inward movement of water. So a pressure that is developed in the roots due to the intake of water is called as root pressure, and the loss of water or cell sap from the cut end is called as what? Yes, that is bleeding. Next, turgor in the opening and closing of stomata. All of you know where is this stomata present? Yes, in the lower surface of the leaf. Mainly you can see that for respiration as well as photosynthesis also it is needed. Okay, so this stomata by opening and closing, you can see the respiration takes place, photosynthesis also takes place. And at the time of fully, you can see that water is inside that one. This is in this shape. Yes. The stomata, you can see that inside this chloroplast is present. So that now you can say the cell is open. The stomata, this is called the guard cells, and this is called stomata.